Nate, we appreciate your sideline service all game. Very well done. Congratulations to the USC Trojans, your season 20 and season 21 back-to-back national champions.
If I can give it to you, but I'll hit record right now. You're going to notice one thing, assuming that the editing software doesn't break on me again. We actually are going to do video this week. Welcome back to the Cole Mantell Show, everybody.
What's up?
We got video, apparently. We're going to check it. We're going to see. This is going to be a very sad episode if we went through all this effort to put the video together, and then I'm going to have to put like the logo over it again.
Yeah, that would suck. That would greatly suck.
All right. So, welcome back. I'm Cole Mantell. You can see my terrible face made for radio once again. We got Ware, the AD for Alabama, joining us.
Roll Tide.
We got Kade, the Texas A&M athletic director. How you doing, Kade?
Gig, I'm doing good.
Great. And Kaki, I think this is your first time on the show, the USC assistant head coach. Congratulations again, 2 times in a row.
Yeah, it's been a heck of a ride so far. It's been fun. Yeah, thanks for having me on. Glad to be here.
And so yeah, we've had I think a USC guy on this show. I could check. I think it's like 3 weeks in a row just because of the playoffs.
Yeah,
But
Jacob
Kaki,
did a few. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great to have you on finally. We had Venom on a few weeks ago. We had let's see here. We had Jacob on twice in a row. I think USC might be making a play for the most represented team on the Cole Mantell Show. This is the 3rd different person as well from the school.
And I still have more appearances than all the USC people.
You got a lot too, David.
You got
Your
tenure.
availability definitely came in clutch this weekend for sure. So welcome to the show, guys. This is going to be great if the video is good. I have a feeling that something's going to come up, and I'm going to have to like explain something, but we're going to try this video. We're going to see how it works. I don't know if we're going to...
Cheers to everybody before we get started, Cole. Cheers.
Yes. With the only alcohol that can make me throw up when I try to drink it. I don't know what it is about Evan Williams. Whenever I was in college, it was the least valued drink of choice. I'd rather have a Natty Light, unfortunately. But welcome to the show, guys. And on that note, you guys won a championship, Kaki. Talk about it.
Yeah, I mean it was huge. You got come into the playoffs kind of on the lower or mid range of the seeding. You of course you go in with the hope of winning it, but we potentially had Ohio State second round. You're looking and they're like, oh, they already beat us regular season. First round, Texas was no easy out. You knew that was going to be hard. And then, of course, all the way through, you just knew it was going to be difficult. So, getting Georgia, we were like, well, at least it's not Ohio State. But, of course, they just beat that team. So then you're worried. But so I don't think that Jacob, or the staff ever felt like super confident in any of the game plans. But it was like we had enough that we felt good enough that, had it played right, we could get it. And squeaked by some wins, had some comebacks, and it was great. The championship game played a little better than we could have hoped, I guess, there, Kade.
So we'll get to Kade in a minute. The only thing I want to challenge you on, Kaki, is we've had Jacob on 2 weeks in a row, and basically both times I've asked him a similar question to that. He said, no, I'm confident. I don't care who we play. So the idea that you are not super confident is actually a little bit questionable.
Well, I think Jacob likes to put up that everything's good, but I think if you got him talking behind doors, he'd let you know that he's probably pulling out hair a little bit. He's a little nervous.
Well, we definitely got a little bit of that from him after the Miami game. Definitely. 40-38 in that semifinal. And yeah, so congratulations to USC. I wish I had more to talk about it on that, but I mean, that's what we've been talking about on this show for the last 3 weeks with Jacob and with Venom even before that, is just, another great run. Number 7 seed in the country. You beat Texas by 1. You beat the upstart Georgia Bulldogs by 7, and then you beat Miami by 2 before the big game where they obviously a little bit more of a score margin in the Orange Bowl. I'll move it on over to Kade. It's been a while. First off, welcome back to the show, and the first on-camera version, assuming nothing breaks. I mean, Texas A&M, before we get to the championship game, Kade, you guys beat Penn State, which speaking from personal experience, a very good team. You guys beat Alabama in a very lopsided game, as we were talking about before the show. And then you beat Kentucky, who beat Auburn. I mean, what a season for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, everyone wants to talk about the score margin in that championship game, and Kaki will tell you that the score really doesn't tell you how close it really was. It was a 4-point game with about 5 minutes left, and just bad play calling on our part to continually go for it on fourth down and not take threes where we could have ultimately ended up winning the game. And then probably one of the wildest halfback being tackled, not tackled by the entire defense, scoring, and then interception with a minute left, and then one play touchdown, and all of a sudden it's a much larger deficit. But you look at the guys that we had to go through to get to the championship game, with Smitty at Penn State, with Ware at Alabama, and then with Devin at Kentucky. I'd argue that that was probably one of, if not the toughest roads to get to the championship game. And I mean, just it was hats off to all of our guys, and hats off to the heck of a season that we've had. And this is only year 2 for us, and we're hoping that year 3 can result in a potential title win.
Well, yeah, certainly of the recent expansion teams, Texas A&M a model for the league. Yeah, so 21-point fourth quarter for USC, second championship in a row for them, joining Kentucky, Notre Dame. I don't believe Oklahoma State had 2 in a row, but they had 3 in a way. I can check that, but yeah, Kentucky 2 in a row, Oklahoma State 2 in 3 seasons, and then Notre Dame twice in a row. It's a historic, really, game. You know, regardless of the final score, USC again. You know, you've been here for a while. Where I'll let you get in on this. Obviously, you've been not only part of the CFSL for a while. You've called games. You're an AD. Where do you rank this USC team compared to some of the other great dynasties in this league?
I mean, they're what I'm about to say. It means no disrespect whatsoever.
Oh no.
Um, like that, what they have accomplished has been amazing. And when you look on paper, when you compare them to the Notre Dame, you compare them to the Kentucky. Like in those times, Notre Dame, it was their championship to lose through the whole season. When you look at Kentucky, it was their championship to lose through the whole season, pretty much. I mean, there was Oklahoma State there that was competing, but really, like going into it, it was theirs all the way. You know, this season and last season, I don't think we went into the season saying USC is going to win the championship. Hey, we knew that USC was a good team. We knew they could compete for it, but I don't feel like we had that certainty that and confidence that they were going to win it like maybe we did Notre Dame and Kentucky. So what they did and the road that they went through, and you know, there were a lot of questions and throughout the whole season, and then you know 2 losses, and everyone's like, well, maybe they're not as good, but you know, as long as you make the playoffs, and I've heard Mike say it 100 times, you know, you make the playoffs, it don't matter about the regular season, and USC did a great job. Jacob, you know, how many years has he been AD? What, 3 or 4, I believe.
3 years.
3 years, and he's won 2 championships. I've been in the season going on my 15th season, and I've never played in the championship game. And so, hats
You made it
off.
past the first round.
I mean, I'd normally make it past the first round. You know,
Actually,
last
no,
year,
that's not true. That's not true. I've been past the first round twice.
last year we almost knocked USC off in the second round. We come extremely close to knocking them off. This year in the second round, I don't know what the heck happened, quite honestly. I mean, I have never seen an offensive game plan literally just be like a walkthrough practice. Okay, on this drive, we're going to go 8 plays, we're going to score a touchdown. On this drive, we're going to go 7 plays, and we're going to get a field goal. And I'm like, that's all A&M did. They just had a walkthrough on us. But, hey, it's good. But no, USC's, I mean, they've flown under the radar and done really well, and you have to look at them for next year. You know, I think they're returning a lot of players, so you got to consider them one of the top teams next year as well.
We'll actually get to that in a little bit here on the show, but I wanted to bring this up because it was a great article by Ryan. He posted it, I believe, a few days ago. He posted the 4 dynasties: Notre Dame season 11 to 13, Oklahoma State season 15 to 17, Kentucky season 16 to 20. You could argue that dynasty might be still going. And then USC, obviously, season 19 to 21. And what you said, Ware, is kind of true. USC, of all those four quote-unquote dynasties, fourth best winning percentage. They won 2 championships, obviously. Their point differential is lower. I mean, Kentucky over 5 seasons went 37-9. USC over 3 seasons, 25-10. That's kind of the difference between, I guess, the league 5 seasons ago versus now. But I think one of the things that makes this USC dynasty different, and I can even ask Kaki about this, but the fact that you're not going to win every game, but you're going to win the last game. I feel like that's really what the difference for this USC versus Kentucky and Oklahoma State, which is just they would run everybody over. What do you think about that, Kaki?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to a couple ADs about it, and we've talked about, in the league, and you guys have alluded to it, and where the league is just so competitive right now that you even in the playoffs. I mean, that's why you saw 15 Georgia go in and beat an undefeated Ohio State. Like it's just, and even if your ratings may not look quite as formidable as maybe they should, or a top ranked team, but you get your game plan in there right, you get a good sim, and you absolutely can beat anybody right now because all the teams. I mean, there's not clear significant talent advantage on some of these teams to clarify that they're going to get the win easy. So I think it's great, and yeah, like you said, just put it together at the right time. You just got to put that string of wins together for the playoffs, and winning the big one obviously is the most important, but you just got to get lucky and hot at the right time.
The only thing that I will add on to that, because I think it's a very good way to say it, Kaki, is really, I think in this era, if you want to call it that, of the CFSL, um, you still have teams like Kentucky. Like Kentucky easily could have won the championship this year if Texas A&M doesn't beat them by 3 in the semifinals, and they beat Auburn. We haven't even mentioned Auburn, which has not lost a regular season game, but now are trying to imitate the Buffalo Bills. It seems like the last few seasons, and they gotta turn up in the playoffs. Um, we'll see. I want to see what Auburn does next year. I want to see what USC especially does next year, but um, it's very interesting to see how this league has evolved to the point where now we have a few teams that are, say, the best. USC or Auburn are the two ones that come to mind, but that doesn't always mean they're going to win. And sometimes, in USC's case, they do, but we'll see. So I'll move it on a little bit, changing subjects here, and then we'll get to the off season. I did want to shout out because he shouted out our podcast, and also it's a crazy story. I don't think I've ever seen this happen in the CFSL. Ryan Moreland won, what was it, like 2 or 3 championships in his career. How about Kevin Davis, 4 in a row, starting? I believe he started at Kentucky, right? Yeah,
Yes.
and then he goes to
See?
USC. Was it that really just it? He didn't go to anywhere
Yeah,
else? It
Nope.
was just
two at
Kentucky,
each.
USC.
Yeah.
2-2. Yep.
I mean,
Guarantee
what?
he is the #1 recruit for
Oh
next
yeah,
year.
and not only
Yeah.
because he's a good recruit, like to have on your team, but like just for the vibes, man.
Give me some of that mojo. Let's go.
Yeah, 18-19 Kentucky, 2021. Kaki, you're his assistant head coach. Tell me a little bit about him.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great dude. He transferred when he did because he wanted to play with his brother. So we got his brother, our middle linebacker, Davis. So they wanted to play together for a couple years before the receiver graduated. And he's been great. He's been around in the locker room. He's chatty. He actually even, when we were giving him props for winning the 4 in a row. He was like, "Nah, this is all on the team. Like that, this is the team's more important. Like, yes, of course, like this is cool, but I'm so happy the team did it. This is a team win. So like, just a stand up, great dude to have in your locker room. It was phenomenal having him and his brother just kind of some fun in the locker room for the last couple seasons.
And talk about one of the wilder stories in this league. I've alluded to Ryan Moreland. There's also Deuce Williams for longtime viewers from Notre Dame, who was the one of the big guys on that Notre Dame dynasty. But 4 in a row, and not only that, but he's a big piece on that USC team. He might not be, it's the guy that you think of, but certainly I don't think USC wins 2 championships in a row without him. Um, just what a story on that. And Dave, you I mean, you called a lot of USC games last few years. You've called Kentucky games. I called a few Kentucky games in those years. Anything stand out to that player? Like what is your thought on that player, basically?
I mean, when I think of Kevin Davis, I think of the clutch gene. It's simply because, he isn't going to be the number one go-to guy on offense. I mean, that offense is absolutely loaded. When you got Messiah Bishop and Sky Mills in the backfield who can run all over you, and then Gold at quarterback who can also move around. But, he's got some offensive weapons at wide receiver, but it always seemed like if it was a third and long or a crucial third down conversion, um, it always felt like Kevin Davis was involved, whether he, was getting the reception, a pancake. It always seemed like Kevin Davis was around the football when there was a big play made. And whether he was catching it or he was there trying to lay some blocks out, he always found a way to have an impact on every big play that was crucial for USC, it seems like. I mean, he's a guy, he's the perfect CFSL player in my opinion.
So I'll bring up his stats because he did just play in his final, game. Obviously, 4 championships is the big one. He never was All-American, never anything like that, but at least 600 receiving yards in all 4 of his CFSL seasons, including his best season, his senior season, 858 receiving yards, 10 receiving touchdowns, only 1 drop, with 15 pancakes as well. I mean, just kind of one of the glue guys for that championship team, and like David said, I think he's going to be the number 1 recruit next year. What do you guys think? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that he would be the number 1 recruit. I mean, someone's gonna take it from the prospect of, well, he's won the last 4 championships, and if we get him on our team, it means we're gonna win it this year. I mean, yet obviously he makes good plays, over 600 yards every season. It's just from someone who has solid receivers on their team, like we had a generational talent go for 1,100 yards and 14 touchdowns this year. He had 1 touchdown last year and barely 500 receiving yards. So trust me, that model of consistency at receiver is hard to maintain. So he knows how to upgrade his players. He knows how to be a part of a championship team that's going to be quality assets from any recruiting perspective.
Yeah, the only thing I'll add in before we move on is talk about that recruiting story for USC and especially Kaki for your recruiting team, including the AD. I'm sure is going to talk about it. Hey, we had a guy win 4 championships in a row and 2 of them for our team. Like, we talk about great recruiting pitches, and obviously winning a championship is great, but winning 2 in a row and having a guy in your roster that's won 4 in a row, that's one hell of a way to pitch, recruits to your school.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean it's big having somebody that you can rely on who's proven that they're winners. It's great to use that in recruiting, and if nothing else, he can help some of the newer guys come in and teach help them build their guys. Some people are interested in kind of replicating as best they can, based on the archetypes and things like that. So having somebody that is knowledgeable and has won everywhere they've been is a huge asset. Yes, I think he'll be great on wherever he ends up next.
Yeah, so congratulations to him. Congratulations to USC. Another great season in the books for the CFSL. The only thing I'll add as well on that is, USC is going to be back next year. We'll see how they do, and we'll move into this off season. With that knowledge, twice in a row we had Kentucky season 18 and 19. Now USC 20 and 21. Who's going to be? Is it going to be USC again in 22, or we're going to have Auburn or somebody else trying to take that crown? I think it's going to be a great season. Next season, too. And I guess I'll go into the awards here because we had the awards. This is the first show since the award show before the championship. And I've been kind of waiting on this. And I know you were a last-minute addition to the show, David, but I guess for the first time I can congratulate you on air joining the exclusive club. Welcome, fellow broadcaster of the year, David Ware.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I always try to have a lot to say and I always have fun. I mean, very seldom do I ever not have much to say, but I really did not expect to win it. And so when Mike said that during the live show, I was completely caught off guard. And I'm very grateful for the votes. And, it's an honor because you look at the people who have won it before, David Roy, Cole Mantell, Ryan Moreland, big, Nate Murphy's had his half shares in there as well. And I mean, those are guys who I think have really paved the way and helped set our broadcasting team up to be the best in sim leagues. And I'm part of several sim leagues, and I've done some broadcasting in other leagues. And I'm going to tell you, there's no other broadcasting team like what we have here in the CFSL. So to be able to say that I was voted as the broadcaster of the year, definitely a huge honor and very appreciative.
Well, I'm actually moving right now, so my office is a mess. I got some of the trophies back here with the lightning puck back there too. You can kind of see it. It's I think in this league, and you can make jokes about my players, but getting to be voted that as the number one player in this league, I just or not player, excuse me, broadcaster. One of the coolest honors, and the fact that I'm so thankful that happened to me 4 times, to Nate twice. That's how I view it. I think Nate won that award twice, and I won it 4 times. No, none of this half shit. But David, you are just the sixth person to be voted winner of that award. That's how exclusive it is. Um, talk about. I mean, we'll see. Ryan, one more year. I thought Ryan was probably the favorite for that award. I always vote for Nate Murphy. So sorry, Dave, I did not vote for you only because I told Nate I'm always gonna vote for you until you win it by yourself, so you can get that monkey off your back. But more than deserved. I think some of your calls I've put on the intro to this podcast. In fact, now that I think about it, this is me reminding myself I'm going to put one of your calls as the intro to this podcast. Your touchdown calls definitely, I think, put you over the edge this year. Great work. And I guess we can talk about the rest of the awards as well. AD of the year going to Zach Davis. I don't think anyone was super surprised about that. Fan of the year, Venom. Again, on the show 2 weeks ago. I don't think that's a surprise either. I wanted Tank to win. Just because he's been on the show a bunch and he's one of my former players, but Venom, a well-deserving award winner. Um, Team Spirit, USC, congratulations as well. Again, Kaki. Most outstanding senior, Dave Axis, which I think is a name that's gone underrated. Offensive player of the year, Jalen Tyree. I don't think that's a huge surprise. Defensive player of the year, Chewy Baca. Congratulations, Jeff. How about that? And then freshman of the year, again, not a huge surprise, Timoteo del Este. Where I guess you're the broadcaster, you've called a lot of these names. I'll start with you. Any thoughts on these awards? Anyone you're surprised won or did not win? Anything like that?
Well, Del Este winning, freshman of the year, I actually had him up as offensive player of the year as well. And I think the reason that he wasn't up for offensive player of the year is maybe the little struggle that Oklahoma had towards the end of the season. But Del Este was Mr. Everything offensively, and so I really thought that his name should have been in for offensive player of the year. But then again, it's hard. I'm not saying that he necessarily could have won it because I mean Tyree put up a heck of a season. Super proud to see him. Um, and Chewy Baca can send a thank you card to Alabama for his defensive player of the year. That Iron Bowl performance sealed the that was his Heisman moment, so to speak, as defensive player of the year. So, I mean that you can argue and debate all you want, but I don't think that you can justify taking the award away from anyone that won it. Quite honestly,
I always love writing those articles, and we'll get to Cade here because I want to hear his thoughts in a minute. But the other thing I'll add is so Jalen Tyree, right? Season 21, he wins Offensive Player of the Year. The first, unless I'm misreading this, yeah, the first ever Ohio State winner for a team that's been around for nearly all of the CFSL's history. Um, First ever Ohio State Offensive Player of the Year, and then for Auburn, just the second Defensive Player of the Year, for example, for Chewy Baca, joining Chris Black in season 11. Kate, I don't think you've had any players win a major award yet, though we'll see about Buck Stackhouse. Your thoughts on the awards?
We had a couple of guys get up there for All-American, and we had a couple of our guys get up there for nominated. I know I was nominated for AD of the Year, and I was talking about it with some of my coaches and some of the other ADs that didn't win it. I mean, all respect to Zach, I think Ohio State was easily the favorite as to why he got it. And everyone that I talked to was, well, you should have won it. You made it to the championship. Well, that's not when voting was. And when voting was, Zach was easily the favorite. So it's hats off to Zach. I'm not shocked about Chewy Baca. I'm not shocked about Del Este. I'm not shocked about Tyree. Those are all the guys that I voted for, and those are all of the guys that I believe truly deserved it. I'm hoping that we can get Buck Stackhouse up there for Offensive Player of the Year. Hopefully, he can replicate his over 1,000 yards and double-digit touchdown bonus this coming season. I'm hoping for that. But it's a little shocking to see that Ohio State has never had that major award winner, like you said, considering how long they've been around. I mean, I know I started out at Michigan, and so we played Ohio State every year, and there were a couple years there that they were the top dog, and so it goes to show the work that that Zach has put in as AD, and that David and that Tyree is just he's built different.
Yeah, so Ohio State, here's a fun fact, has been in this league long enough where um, Tom played for them, Grin,
God.
before he was at Florida State. That's how long they've been in this league. And the fact they have never had an Offensive Player of the Year until now. Crazy. Nuts. I don't know what other adjective I can use. Kaki, your team obviously had a few winners as well. Besides the national championship, Venom finally gets his Fan of the Year.
Yep.
I feel like it's been almost overdue. He's, I guess, been an AD so long he's never been eligible, so now he gets his. You guys also obviously had Team Spirit as well. I guess talk about that locker room, man. You had Team Spirit and Fan of the Year.
Yeah, no, our locker room has been great. That's one of the I think coolest parts since because I followed Jacob to USC, so the 3 years we've been there, it's one of the coolest parts that I think we've had. Is our locker room has always been great. It's always active. There's a bunch of people. This we brought in like Jordan Heck, a couple of guys that like they just chatting it up in the locker room. They were active in league chat quite a bit this year, so it's nice to get some additions in here as freshmen that were also contributing in the locker room and into like the atmosphere as a whole. But yeah, it's been really great. I get in there all the time. We got conversations going. There's people giving each other crap or propping each other up after the win. We were going crazy for Kevin after his 4th championship. So it's good that those guys are getting recognized. Venom's been trying to get Fan of the Year. He's been in the chat a lot, trying to get that for at least a couple seasons. I know now that he can take a step back from the AD part of the role, and it's allowed him to be more active out there. And he Greg, I'm glad he got it. He's been he trolls a lot, but he enjoys being active and engaging with the community. So I'm happy for the team that we got it, and I think it's great for Venom too.
Well, yeah, so Venom, the second ever winner for USC of Fan of the Year. USC wins Team Spirit for the second time in team history, first time since season 6. Big season for the Trojans. I think even more than last year. Last year, I wouldn't say it was a surprise you guys won, but you certainly upset a few teams. This season, you guys really delivered both in and out of the locker room, and congratulations again to USC on that. And so we'll move on to the offseason, I guess. Again, congratulations to all the award winners. This is going to be great. So we got coaching portal and transfers coming up next week. We'll probably still talk about them. We've already heard a few rumors, some of which I can and cannot report on. We'll just go through the first item I have here. The new athletic director of LSU. We tried to get him on this show. He was on the show 2 weeks ago, and he unfortunately could not make it. He was at the Notre Dame game in real life yesterday, which I believe they did beat Virginia. I'd have to check that.
They did.
But Wookie, new AD. I have not played for him, but he was the AD right after I left Notre Dame. Let's see. Who else? Who wants to go first? I guess we'll start with Kade because you are the newest AD here. Obviously Wookie has been an AD in this league for a long time. He's won 2 championships, but your thoughts on LSU's new AD?
So Wookie was last an AD in season 17. My first year in the league was season 15, so there was a little bit of overlap, but I've been kind of jawing at Wookie a little bit in the AD boardroom, kind of talking a little mess about, we're not scared. We're going to be just fine. LSU's going to be just what they were this past year. But honestly, you couldn't ask for anything more because you want the league to be as good as it possibly can be. You want as many experienced ADs as you can. You want as many experienced coaches as you can. You want guys that are bought in. And so him coming back into the AD ranks is perfect for this league, and it's going to be perfect for the competition. And I love it more for the fact that the Big 12 is no longer the laughingstock conference. I think that we're going to act. You know what?
We'll see.
We'll
LSU
see
went 2-6. I'm not saying Wookie can't be a good AD, but we'll see.
we'll see if Michigan State actually wins their Week 1 game next year. So,
Dude, we could win a championship. We're gonna lose week 1. It's so weird. Okay, go ahead. It's so weird. Dude, we beat number 1 USC, but Texas A&M we can't throw for over 100 yards. It's what the fuck?
I think it's going to be great for the league, and I wish Wookie nothing but the best, and I'll be rooting for him except for when they come to College Station this coming season.
Yeah. So LSU, I was gonna kind of say it at the top, 2-6. I think Wookie will give them a boost. They do need a new quarterback, as long as a few other players, and we'll see who transfers in and who transfers out. He's also got to get a few coaches. We'll see if the coaching staff changes there too. But I mean, you not so long ago, Kaki, were part of I wouldn't call it a new team. I guess USC was new when you got there, right? Because they came
Yeah,
back.
we brought it back. Yep.
Yeah, so I guess talk about that challenge of, rebuilding or building a team up. Especially like LSU and USC are both very storied programs in this league.
Yeah, I mean it was intense. So I had been a GA at West Virginia, I think for a season and maybe a tiny bit over before we ended up coming and making USC. And so I had limited recruiting experience, but going and building a roster from scratch, the amount of messages I had to send out, like I don't know how many times I got yelled at by that bot that says, "Hey, you've sent too many messages lately. You need to wait." So it's intense. It's kind of fun too, in that you get to build the roster as you want. And you get to see it come together, and when it comes together on the field, you see it all, and it's really fun. But it's a lot of stress. It's intense because I mean you got to get as many guys as you can. You obviously want as good a talent as you can get, and guys who are going to be active. So trying to find that balance of all the pieces you're looking for while actually filling the roster it's a lot, and it's much better. I think Cade, you brought A&M recently too. I'm sure you can attest to year 2 a little easier than year 1. You're just filling holes now, and it's much more manageable. But it's fun and challenging in its own way to build a roster from scratch.
Yeah, so he's not going to have to build a roster from scratch, but certainly, I mean, we can take a look at the LSU roster in season 21. I have it up.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see the transfers, because I know sometimes people kind of follow others, or people that maybe were second, on their list originally now are like, well, now that guy I signed with is gone. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
And Wookie's also a big enough name where I think he'll be able to convince some of these guys who might be thinking about transferring to not transfer. There's also the 3-star draft. There's a few 3-stars on this roster. I'm looking at Connor Overton, Rob Bonnell, Shannon Hall. A few of the linebackers are 3-stars. We'll see what he decides to do. A few of the safeties as well. But where we'll get to you in a second here. Sean Keohane graduates out of LSU. Cade McClain, the starting halfback, graduates out of LSU. And Wookie cannot make another quarterback. Thank God. Wyatt Babineau graduates. I think he's also a coach, though. We'll see what happens there.
Oh, Babineau was the former AD.
Oh, he is the former AD. Okay. So, yeah, I think he's a senior. He'll probably have to go unless he becomes a protected coach. Cash Thomas is the other senior. So I'm counting 4 seniors plus a few 3-stars. We'll see what he does with that, not including transfers. What's your game plan if you're the AD? You think it starts with the quarterback, or do you think you start with the defense, trying to rebuild this team? You're one of the better recruiters.
I mean, you've got to have a quarterback. I mean, that's always going to be the priority no matter what. The thing is, you can only have one quarterback on your roster, so you've got to hit a home run with that quarterback pick. One thing that Wookie's going to run into is why Wookie had a great run, and he's a Hall of Famer for a reason. I went through this a couple seasons ago after being away as AD for a long time. The game is different. It's not the same game it was. It's not the same league that it was when Wookie ran Notre Dame. So there's going to be an adjustment period there. But he's also going to run into, yes, there's going to be some of the OGs, so to speak, that know his name and may want to play for him. He's also going to come to find out that a lot of these guys don't have a clue other than what we talk about, what he did at Notre Dame. They weren't around for that. They don't have a clue what he was able to really do and what kind of impact he had. So he is going to have to prove himself more than what some people are saying, because a lot of people don't know who he is really, other than someone who would occasionally talk and chat for a while. So he's going to have an uphill battle, but he's got the experience. There's no questions asked. It's a different league, and the people that were around, there's very few people around when he won back-to-back championships. So, but you got to get that quarterback, and that's going to be the home run hit right there that he's got to be able to pull out. He already has a great halfback. Nos Mason will be there. He was halfback 2 this year, so he'll do good at halfback 1. But it's going to be interesting to see what LSU does. I'm not going to say they're going to come and all of a sudden go from 2-6 to national championship contenders, but they're definitely going to have an advanced learning curve, and they're going to excel pretty quick. And I think the Big 12. I think it's going to be a conference now that's going to be a lot more competitive amongst itself, and can make a little bit more noise overall.
I think the only thing I'll add on to that, Ware, I think that was very well said. Big 12 certainly maybe is the most competitive conference. That's kind of why we make fun of it, is because anyone in that conference can win. Even West Virginia, who went 0-8 this year, they've competed for a conference title more than once recently. LSU will certainly be improved, I think, with Wookie. I mean, I think the model for LSU and Wookie being a returning AD like that is in its own conference. It's Colorado. Sky did not win any national championships. He was an AD in seasons, I think, like 1, 2, and 3. Even I've been here since season 7. I had no idea who the guy was when he recruited me. And he won his conference this year. He is very much, building a program there that, along with A&M and Texas, has been the big 3 right now in that conference. And if Wookie's going to challenge it, I mean, that's the guy to look at. Let's see. Sky this year.
Don't forget about Oklahoma. I don't mean to cut you off, but
no, yeah, them too.
Oklahoma. I mean that's a team that started out on fire and ran into a few hiccups where their depth was an issue. But get another offseason of adding to that roster, Oklahoma could easily win the conference this year.
So that's 3 teams, by the way, in the Big 12. If you count, Colorado and Oklahoma, now LSU, where there's been an AD. I guess it's a little different in Oklahoma's case because Dustin went to Notre Dame for a little bit. But where the guy was at a school, had success, leaves, then comes back to the school that they're most famous for. I guess Wookie's not super famous for LSU, but that storyline, there's 3 schools now in the Big 12 where that's happened. I think that's kind of fun to point out. And Kaki, we'll see about what he can do. But anything from your end as well before we move on?
No, I mean, I think it's just like you guys kind of said, having experienced ADs who've proven themselves is huge for the league. It puts, steel sharpens steel kind of a thing. So going against good ADs week in and week out for that Big 12, is going to be really great. That conference is already pretty stacked, like you guys mentioned. There's quite a few teams in there that with another year, because a couple of them are still kind of on the newer side, back in the league. So once they kind of get more footing, and as we kind of get through some more recruiting cycles, that conference is just going to get even better. So,
well, good luck to Wookie, and we'll get him back on the show soon enough. I know he enjoyed jumping on a few weeks ago. We'll get Venom on. We'll get Davis on as well. He wanted to jump on. But we'll move into coaching, recruiting, and regular recruiting. I know we got 2 ADs and an assistant head coach trying to, are you? Well, we'll see. Kaki, do you think you're an AD in the future? I guess I can ask you that.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm kind of throwing my thing around. I applied I had put my the application in last season, but just due to some life stuff, haven't gone with the AD. I don't remember what it's called, the AD fee or whatever it is. So I haven't done that, but just off life stuff, and I just kind of needed to take a step back for a little bit. But yes, I do think an AD is something I want to do. I coach in another league too, so definitely looking to get into the AD ranks at some point in this, if so.
Good to hear. So 2 ADs and one guy who wants to be an AD in the future. Here, I mean, we got coaching, recruiting. I'm just going to list a few teams right now, and I'll let you guys guess what the similarity is. UNC, Ohio State, and Georgia is the other one, according to the league sheet that the ADs have access to. I'm just looking at that right now. I know that this stat will change. We actually talked about it before the show. But those 3 teams, you guys know what the commonality between them is right now?
They all need an assistant head coach, if I'm not mistaken.
Close, yeah. They're the 3 schools. I guess Ohio State is an exception because they do have a recruiting coordinator, but with no listed coaches right now. I don't think we've even added in the guys who have graduated. But Georgia does not have a coach right now. UNC does not have a coach right now, and Ohio State does. They have Tyree, I believe, who's the recruiting coordinator, who I think is probably going to get promoted, but we'll see. I would guess, because there's no coaches there right now. So coaching, recruiting, I think those are the three teams you start with, guys, unless you have any other schools you think are going to be active in coaching, recruiting. What do you guys think?
I know from an A&M perspective, we have two coaches on our roster. We have a need for one if the right position if the right position comes available or the right person is there. But A&M is a team, at least from my perspective, that we have our coaching staff and we're set with our coaching staff.
Yeah, certainly there's some schools that are set pretty well. I mean, I'll just start with Alabama. I think you guys have one spot open, David, right?
Yeah, that is
Um,
correct. One spot.
so I mean, just talk about coaching, recruiting in general. Are you guys looking for another coach this off season?
Absolutely. And and here's what and a little tidbit for newer ADs. Um, as a young AD, I always looked for the big name, the coaching portal. I looked for the guy that I knew that would make a huge player. And while that was fun to have their player on the field, you maybe always didn't get what you wanted out of the coach aspect of it. So we've really kind of changed our philosophy the last couple seasons and trying to bring in guys who can contribute off the field more than they can on the field. So yeah, we are going to be looking for someone who can help run some sims, help game plan, help spend some time watching some games. Someone who's willing to just invest into the team. And so, and I don't care if they're a 3-star, if they're a 4-star, if they're willing to put the time in and they want, they have aspirations of becoming an athletic director. That's who I'm looking for. I want someone who has something to prove and wants to learn. So that's what we're going to be looking for specifically.
And the only thing I'll add on to that, because I think it's very well said, is Alabama. Again, I'm just looking at the league sheet. I don't know if it's updated yet. 5 GAs on your staff, tied for the most with Ohio State. I mean, that's something that I did when I was an AD, is that I always had, if not the most GAs, one of the most GAs that helped develop that coaching culture. I mean, I guess I'll ask you, think you're promoting any of them to be a coach, possibly?
We're gonna. I know what I have with them, and so and a lot of them aren't in a situation right now to help off the field as much as we need, and so I don't see any of them at this exact moment stepping into that official capacity. But uh, things change awfully quick, so it should something change, and that will be reevaluated. But right now, it's bringing another person in that can contribute off the field, and then as a group, we'll work together. And really, the titles don't mean anything. It's who can officially recruit at the end of the day. And so, just trying to bring someone in who can recruit and then contribute off the field right now. That's what we're for.
So, again, I'll say it at the top for any potential coaches watching and wondering. As of the production of this show, which it will change immediately after once the coaching portal opens, but as of right now, Georgia and UNC are the two teams without coaches. Though I've heard that Mike apparently will be coaching. I'll break that story on air. Apparently, Mike will be a coach of some sort, as in Mike Majesty, the commissioner, will be a coach of some sort at UNC. Um, Georgia would be the other team currently without a coach. The teams that have three coaches, because I believe three is the limit now, right, guys?
Three,
Yeah, it's
three
three.
plus the AD, so a total of 4 coaches.
Yep. Right now, Kentucky is sitting at that number in the SEC. In the Big 12, Oklahoma's there. And LSU is there, though I would expect at least one transfer off that coaching portal, unless Wookie is going to keep all three of them. Um, in the Big 10, we have USC, obviously, Michigan State, and Michigan. And then in the ACC, Virginia Tech is full at coaching right now, and Clemson, funny enough. I did not think that they were. They got three now. So those are your teams that will not be officially, as of right now, looking for anybody. But that still leaves plenty of teams, right? I'm looking at a team like a Texas that doesn't have anything besides a recruiting coordinator. I'm looking at maybe, we talked about it, Ohio State as well. We'll see who goes where. And then there's obviously the transfer portal. We haven't even started with that. I don't have anything to report on the transfer portals, but it's going to be a fun recruiting offseason. What are you guys doing to prepare? I mean, let's see, where, uh, yeah, I'll start with you, I guess. What do you guys got to do this offseason?
So, we're looking at probably 8 spots to fill. I could only fill 5, but we're going to look for 8 spots. And we're very fortunate. We have a solid core, but we have 10 seniors going. We'll have 10 seniors this upcoming up season, and 9 juniors. So 19 upperclassmen that we have to start building a foundation under. And so that's going to be the big thing. Get some freshmen in there, get some young blood in there that is ready to take the torch. Because after next year, it's going to hurt losing 10 seniors in one season, then followed up by losing 9. So get some young guys in there. We're very fortunate again, position wise. We've got a lot of key players already in place, but we're definitely looking to add some talent though.
So what do you think, Where? What would be your number one wish list position? You want this recruit at this position. You need it. Linebacker, I'd assume, or something else?
No, wide receiver. I think it's going to be probably one of our big spots. Wide receiver or another halfback will probably be the key position. Maybe defensive lineman, but we'll see.
Well, you got Troy Tree. He'll be a senior, and then Claxon as well, which I think is a bit of an underrated name, but I see where you're coming from on that. Yeah, I'll move on to USC here, Kaki, just because we've been talking about your team a lot here. I think it was 5 seniors, correct? You got.
Yep.
So what do you guys? I mean, halfback jumps out to me, but I think wide receiver probably is your biggest position this
Yeah,
offseason.
wide receiver definitely. I mean, we're losing Bishop. That's a big loss at the running back room. We thankfully have, Mills will still be around, so we have a good back, someone to fill that gap there. But wide receiver is huge. Losing Wolf, Davis, and Tolbert, all huge contributors. So they'll be missed. That's a big one. The cornerback we're losing is a little more of a depth player, so not as big there. But yeah, so we're looking. Offense will be needing some revamp. We need some pass catchers to get gold going again. Um, and shoring up that backfield again as well, with another halfback.
Sounds good. All
Real
right.
quick, Cole. It's
Yep.
funny that he mentioned Bishop. And I remember, and anyone that knows that Alan wants to help a team out. Alan's just a good guy. And he turned me down in recruiting because we were too good of a team. Then he goes to USC and wins 2 championships.
It could be better than if you try to recruit me, because you know what I would tell you if you tried to recruit me.
We have no reason to tank, though, in the CFSL.
Right. Yeah. Who beat USC this year? Yeah. All right, buddy. And I was trying to be nice to you when you won the award. Best broadcaster, more like a big loudmouth. Texas A&M. All right, Cade. You guys have a few seniors, but I think you guys are one of the younger teams in the CFSL. I think one position we talked about this before the show that you guys are looking at, and it's quarterback, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we're losing 3 seniors this year, and if you look at the roster for next year, we're only losing 3 guys next year as well. Of our current 24 roster spots, I think 6 of them are upperclassmen, maybe 7. We're gonna be looking to get at least 8 guys in recruiting between the coaching portal and the freshmen, but we're hoping that in wish list items, it's quarterback and then it's safety. We're losing two senior safeties right now, and the back end of our defense is kind of what got us towards the end of the year. So I'm hoping that we can get some secondary help, but obviously quarterback is the number one priority for us.
And I guess we'll talk about it live on air. I feel confident enough that we can at least talk about it. I'm not going to say the name specifically because I know we've talked about it yesterday. So Texas A&M, believe LSU, and then my understanding is Florida State has a coach that will be making a quarterback. So they have a senior, but they will not be needing a quarterback. So I will report that on air. 3 teams, all in the same conference, and they all need a quarterback. Tell me about it.
I mean, it's gonna be me versus Wookie versus Ryan for whoever that quarterback is, and as it happens every year, there's probably gonna be 1, maybe 2 that enter the portal, and we've had discussions as a coaching staff who we think may be entering the portal, but nothing is definitive yet. But we're hoping that we can parlay our 2-6 record season 1 to 6-2 record season 2, where we had a national championship run, ended up being the league runner-ups. We're hoping that we can parlay that into whoever the best quarterback recruit is. Hey, the majority of our team is still here. Come help us take that extra step.
It certainly is appealing. One of the things I'll add, Texas, run by one of the best QBs in CFSL history in Ryan Moreland. That's going to be a tough recruiting battle for you guys. I mean, you guys battle every year on the recruiting trail, so
Yeah.
I don't think it's a huge surprise that you're going to battle them. And LSU, I mean, I don't think Wookie, before he had Zeus, obviously, I don't think he ever made a quarterback, but, I mean, go back to those season 11 Notre Dame era teams, and their quarterbacks are pretty fun to watch. They weren't the same as today's pass-happy CFSL QBs, but, man, what I would kill if they got another Williams at LSU to have that mobile quarterback, and, man, that would be fun to see. We'll see. But I guess I'll shout out the quarterback recruiting because I think it's going to be nuts this year. We'll see. All right. So we're at about 50 minutes here on the show. I think we've gone through pretty much everything here. I have one more thing. We're not going to do the chaos quiz. I think I'm going to retire the chaos quiz. But I do have a new kind of show here. Not show, game. I don't know what the word would be. I don't know.
Event.
A new segment.
New segment. That might be worth calling it. We'll start with I can't pronounce it. The Season 21 Superlatives. So, I don't have a name for this segment yet at the end of the show, but I do want to kind of challenge my guests to see what they think. Some of these are fun. Some of these are not some of these are more serious, but I think it's going to be fun to hear on air what everyone thinks. Here's the rules, basically, because I know I was a big rule guy with the Chaos Quiz. 1, you got to answer the question. If I ask it, you have to answer. And 2, well, you can't have the same answer as somebody else. So, with that in mind, let's see. Kaki, you just won a championship. I'll let you go first. Do you want a serious question for the superlative or a not so serious question?
Let's start out serious.
All right. Non-playoff team, so they could not have made the playoffs this year, that you would have want to play the least in season 22. That you're the most afraid of.
I mean, I guess for me, that'd be Michigan, just kind of going with my gut right out the gate because it's a team that historically has done well. They're consistently near the top. They had a rough season, and you best believe that's going to be motivation for them to come out on fire next season because they do not want to repeat this. So I think Michigan's going to come out hot and heavy all season.
Interesting. You choose a team you will be facing next year. We know
Yes.
that too.
Yeah. Yep.
Maybe a little bit of respect there. All right, I'm going to ask the same question to Cade. Non-playoff team you do not want to play next year.
It's the same. It's the same as Kaki.
You can't say the same. That's the rule. You
No,
cannot say Michigan.
it's the same in the sense that it's a team that I will be playing next year, and it's West Virginia.
Interesting.
I've game planned against Gunnar Rice twice. Last year we barely beat them. It was the ugliest game that we had all year that actually ended up being a win. And our first year they took us to the woodshed. I don't want to have to keep playing against Gunnar Rice. I am counting down the days until he graduates.
When you said it was going to be in your conference, I thought you were going to say LSU. That's really interesting that it's West Virginia. But we'll see. All right, what's your team?
Well, since both of my first 2 picks have been taken, I'll say Oklahoma.
That playoff team.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, for one game they were. That says the guy who also lost his first round matchup in the same part of the bracket.
You
want me to list your options for you?
Yeah, because again, my first 2 was easily taken.
Tennessee, Georgia, and the SEC. You could choose West Virginia. No, you can't. You can choose LSU in the Big 12. You can choose Oregon in the Big 10, or you can choose Notre Dame, Virginia Tech, or Clemson.
I'll go Virginia Tech. I believe that team's definitely on the up climb, and they're going to be a dangerous team. They add a little bit more depth this offseason, and some of their close games that they lost, you add that depth, I think they have a great chance to win. So I'll go Virginia Tech and what he's building over there. Recruited against them last season. and I lost probably 6 recruits to Moochie.
Really?
Yeah, 6 guys that I would have loved to have on my staff, on my team this year, that he got, and so he is really building something big over there, and so yeah, that'll be my pick.
Alrighty. Well, you were the last one, so I'll let you pick now. Where you want serious or non-serious
Let's go
superlative?
non-serious. Let's change it up a little bit.
All right, this one, Kaki will not be able to answer this question. AD most likely to put fish in the microwave in the AD break room. Where?
I mean, perfect way to break out the new segment when we've got the camera to watch our facial expressions on.
Who is it?
Oh
You
man!
can't say me because I'm not in the AD room anymore.
You know what? Beard.
You think it would be Beard?
It'd be Beard.
I could see it.
Yeah, it'd be Beard.
All right, Cade, you can't choose Beard. Who else would it be?
I feel like just out of spite, it would be DT Hall, just to piss everybody off.
It's completely true. Oh no!
Just to piss everybody off. Not because he wanted fish or because he likes the smell, but just to give the middle finger to everybody else.
That is absolutely correct. Oh my goodness.
Oh.
All right, Kaki, you can't answer this question because you're not in the boardroom, so I'll ask it in a different way. How likely do you think it would be your AD to put fish in the microwave in the boardroom?
I feel like Jacob's pretty respectable. I don't think he'd do it. And maybe if it was like we're playing somebody specific and he had something with him, maybe. But I don't I don't see him doing that.
All right, Cade, your turn now. Serious or non-serious superlative?
Serious.
All right. This one's kind of both serious and not serious, but I'll ask. I kind of like it. Cade, you start here. CFSL game this season does not have to be a game you participated in, but the game that you watched or talked about this season that made you the most excited. You had the best time watching that game.
Oh.
I assume it's not the national championship.
No, and it wouldn't be the semifinal either, just because the only reason we won that game is our kicker went 7 for 7 in field goals. Oh man, I would have to say the game against Texas in Week 7. Just for everybody that's in the boardroom and everybody that's in league chat, they just know that me and Ryan, we love to go at each other simply because of the A&M UT rivalry, and we love each other. It's awesome. But there was been a bunch of smack talking since last year, and since I had to throw up the horns because I made a bet and I lost the bet, and of course he sends that picture as often as he can. But us going into Austin and just absolutely dog walking the Longhorns, that was awesome.
Nice. All right. Kaki, I'll ask you the same question. Game that you felt the most excited, you had the best time watching. Is it the national championship? Is this the easiest question in the history of all?
That's the easy answer, but I'm not going to pick that one. Just
is it when we beat
something
you
different?
guys in overtime?
Yeah, that was it. Yep, totally. Uh-huh. And Drake, him getting to rub it in, no big deal there.
not a.
If there's ever a
Bryce
game
O'Leary.
you didn't want to lose, it was that one, man. And we were like, no, we gave him fuel for the
The other
fire.
side of this superlative question, I made one was the most excited. The other one was the most sick. I assume that would be the one that made you the most sick.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. But no, the most excited game, it's kind of hard because for me, I kind of focus on playoffs just because I feel like it means a little bit extra, There were just so many good games. I really, really think Georgia coming out, for me, that stands out just because, they more or less knocked the socks off of Ohio State, a team that looked unstoppable. That was a great game, and obviously getting to match up against a lower seed versus Ohio State. So that was really great for our standpoint in terms of, well, now we don't have to go through Ohio State again. We get to go take on Georgia. But I really also liked the Kentucky A&M game. I thought that game was really good too. Championship game on the line, 3-point game. That was a lot of fun to watch that one.
Alrighty. And where? You're a broadcaster, so you probably have the best view of answering this question.
So there's a lot of games that were eligible for this answer. and Kentucky and A&M. That was the greatest kick I think in CFSL. That just because of the impact that it had. But I am going to stick with the playoffs. North Carolina, Miami, 5 overtimes.
Yes.
And
Somebody
so
answered it. Go ahead.
well, and here's so it's not just how exciting that game was. So me, Gunn, and Dobbins all were on Alabama at one time on the coaching staff together. So we were all one group, and so to see Dobbins and Yost going against Gunn, that was already going to be a good game, and a lot something I had a lot of interest in. Man, that game was absolutely wild. I had no voice for like 2 days afterwards, but it was a blast. And just when you thought, one team was going to win it, then some crazy one play touchdown in overtime or a one handed catch. I mean, it was, it ranks up there with one of the greatest games I've ever watched in the CFSL.
Good answer. And that was gonna be my answer if I was playing this game was that game. I guess I kind of should answer some of these questions. I don't think it's right that I don't. Let's see. I asked who's most likely. Oh, non-playoff team I want to play the least. There was one that we missed. Oh yeah, LSU. I don't want to play Wookie again. I've done that. No thanks. CFSL.
I will
Go
say
ahead.
this, Cole. If you were talking about it before the podcast, that you need to put one of Ware's calls on the podcast since he won Broadcaster of the Year, I feel like it has to be the AM LSU kick where he's
That
losing
was
his
last
mind.
week. Wasn't that
Oh, you
last
put it on
week's?
there?
I'm
You
pretty
put it
sure it
on
was
there?
last week's intro.
I didn't
Or
listen.
2 weeks. I'd have to check.
I must have missed it. But no, him losing his mind on the Stackhouse catch. The kick is good. Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah, I am almost sure I put that on a few weeks ago. I'd have to check.
I must have blanked out then. I have a
I
bad
put a
memory.
lot of Ware calls, unfortunately, on the intro. You have to hear his voice a lot on this show.
You're,
Um,
you're welcome.
yeah. CFSL. Okay, first off, I would say if I was gonna say an AD, I'm not in the boardroom anymore, but I would say Wookie would be the most likely to put fish in the microwave for the record. You guys, the two ADs here are gonna learn very quickly if you haven't already that he
Oh,
will be that kind of guy.
He's been spamming LSU emojis on everything.
And then
He's,
CFSL game.
we have Drake 2.0. Now we have two of them.
Oh no, Drake is a copy of Wookie's the original Drake.
Well,
For those of you who have been here long enough.
now we have two. We're just gonna see a buttload of Michigan State and LSU emojis.
Ay. CFSL game this season that made you the most excited. We've already talked about the championship and that UNC Miami slugfest. I guess I have to say it as well because as a neutral viewer, I wasn't a neutral viewer, but as someone who has never beaten a top 7 team in his entire 14 seasons here to beat number 1 USC in overtime, I gotta at least shout that out. That was great. All right, I think we have enough time for one or two more. Let's see, serious or non-serious, guys? What do you guys think?
Let's go non-serious.
Non-serious? Oh, this is a really mean one, and I can't wait. So, for the record, we'll just say guys in your locker room this season because we don't know about anything next season. So, if he's a graduating senior, he counts. I'm going to start with Kaki just because you guys won team spirit for this question. Kaki, who is the player in your locker room who you least trust to pass the aux cord for a DJ session?
I mean, it's got to be Allen.
Thank you for that. He's never going to live that down.
Yeah, no, he's been great, but yeah, Allen for sure. He likes to
What do you
kind
think his
of
music
push
taste
buttons.
I want to
You
know.
know, I feel like Allen's like, I don't know, got some like old twangy fiddle thing kind of happen in the background. That's the kind of music.
Cade, this look you're giving me to the camera right now is pure fear. I'm going to give you this question next. Who is the player in your locker room you least want to give the aux cord?
I don't know. I mean, I would have to. Jesus, I just.
If you don't know, it's probably you. You do know that, right?
It is probably me. I will say that it is probably me, no matter what. But one of my coaches, OG Bobby Johnson, I bet he would easily say it would be me. But I can't think of anybody off the top of my head that's just
So
like
it's you.
you know
If
yeah,
you
it's
don't
me.
want to give you the aux cord. That
It's
is the
me.
idea here. All right,
Yeah,
Ware.
it's
I
me.
have a feeling I know the answer. What the answer you're gonna give? But go ahead. What's your answer, Ware?
Oh goodness. I've got someone who's never been afraid to speak his mind or his opinion, and that's going to be Keller. So I'm gonna say
That's not who I thought it was gonna be, but that works.
so giving him the aux cord could be he would play something just to torment someone. I mean, he would.
I
He
thought you were gonna say Squiddy for the record.
Yeah, no, I mean he would just play something about pineapple pizza.
That's my
And
point.
and so Cade, and I don't know if y'all understand this. This was back season 8 and 9. I mean that's half of what League Chat was about was pineapple pizza.
Pineapple on pizza is delicious. I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean
He's
I
banned.
agree.
He's banned. You guys are all banned.
I mean it's great.
It's not. It's
It's
not.
it is the superior pizza topping. Just tell me you don't have a refined palate.
Cannot believe I'm agreeing with an Avalanche fan here.
You are
No,
you are
it's not.
uncultured swine for not liking pineapple on
Nope.
pizza.
All right, I got one more
Okay.
question, and then we'll finish this up. And this one's a little bit serious, but I want to ask you guys: player or coach most likely to become an AD in season 23? We're gonna pretend that there's no like replacing of. It's just an expansion team. Can be any expansion team. Who do you think's up next for Mike if he's gonna expand? Where I'll let you go first.
Uh, Bates at Michigan. I think he's someone that's been around for a while, someone who's really got to learn a lot, had a lot of successful seasons. Um,
I've talked to him about it. I think
he,
I've talked to him about it. Yeah.
he is he's the first of a couple names that come to mind, but yeah, I think he would be a solid one.
Kaki, you can choose yourself if you wish, but who do you think's gonna be the next AD in season 23?
You know, I was trying to look through some of the names, just and I don't know who has aspirations to do it or if they're kind of content. Dobbins is a name I could see maybe coming back, trying to do that. Myself, I think, as long as life stays on a trajectory that allows me the time and energy to do so, I think, I want to get my name in the hat. I want to compete in this great league. So, yeah, I mean, my name or Dobbins, I think that's a decent choice. He's been around for a while.
So Dobbins used to be an AD, and I can confirm that there has been a message after the most recent article about the wins and how Wookie came back and how he may have mentioned that he needs to come back because all the people that coached with him are passing him. So now how serious he is, I don't know. But hey, that's some breaking news.
I would not be surprised if he came back, especially with guys like Sky and Wookie. I mean, yeah, even me, I've talked about coming back for a long time too.
I imagine
All
y'all
right.
kind of get that itch after a time.
Yeah, some of us get an itch for a different reason, though. That's why Cole has the itch.
No, what? Why am I ever allowing you on this show? Why do I keep bringing you back onto this show, Will? Like, I
Because
do not
I
understand.
bring viewers.
Do you though? I feel like the most viewed podcast was not with you on it. I can check. All right, Cade, you
I
get an
feel
answer
like
here. Who you got?
see, so Ware took mine because I know Martell and I messaged a lot this offseason about if he would potentially doing it because he and I were on the staff together at Michigan. But the one I'm going to go with is Tank from Florida State. He's Grin's new assistant head coach. He and we're in a couple other leagues together, and we've talked about it, how we're trying to make the league a little bit younger, how we can bring a little bit of a different thing that these older ADs can't bring. And so I feel like he is probably one of 3 or 4 on the next short list.
The only thing I'll say is because he obviously was my player, and he started coaching with me, and then he went to Florida State and actually learned how to coach. Um, yes, I mean I had to say it. He is absolutely active. I know he's talked about it, so I would not be surprised if he becomes an AD in the next season or two. The only one that I'll add, Rob was at Hangout last year for Auburn. I know he's talked about it. There's a few other guys. I mean, even Venom. I don't know if Venom ever wants to AD again, but I know he's talked about it when his quarterback's done. We'll see.
I want to know what these young guys think they can do that us older ADs can't do. I think that opened up a can of worms, Cole, that you have to allow a minute for him to explain.
I feel like, he does kind of have to
It's
explain that a little. Is it knowing
I,
who Lil Nas X is or something like that for recruits, or?
I mean, we all saw what happened in the Twitch streams when Mike tried to do the current lingo
Oh God, I
In the
forgot.
chats, we all saw what happened with that. I'm gonna keep my secrets as my secrets where, and you'll just see them next year.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So if one of our admins are watching this, Texas A&M week 2, please. I'll take LSU week 1.
Hey, if Mike wants to do the same thing that we've done in years past, where you play your same place finishers, I'm gonna have a semifinal rematch and a championship rematch in the first 3 weeks.
Oh, boo-hoo. I went to the national championship and I have a hard strength of schedule.
I mean,
We're going to get the same thing, except we only lost in the
I
first
am
round.
I am lobbying for Mike to put A&M Michigan State week 1 again, because there's nothing better than
Dude,
starting off 1-0.
like at this point we have to, right?
There's nothing better than starting off 1-0. It's great.
Ooh, okay. No.
Oh, see, Cole, I've never talked to you like that. I want to take
No,
the
you have.
disrespect.
This is literally, I am not letting you finish that sentence. Uh-huh.
Oh shit.
That's what happens when you shit talk me for 6 seasons. I can start shit talking you back where. Kaki just sitting in the top right of our screen here, just being like, what the hell is
Trying to
going
keep
on?
the peace,
No, we see you too. I've won 2 championships.
Yeah, back to
In a
back,
row.
shooting for 3.
Oh boy.
Guess I'm gonna finish this episode off right.
There you go.
All right. Salute. I think we will end it off there. Great show, guys. I think if we can, we're gonna try to do on camera more. I'm gonna see how this looks, with my horrible face on the
That
video
awful
editor
shirt
side.
you're
We'll see how
wearing.
it goes.
During No Shave November, even, man,
All right. I'd like to thank the Alabama AD David Ware. I'd like to thank
Right.
the Texas A&M AD Kade Padgett. I'd like to thank the USC assistant head coach Kaki. And I'd like to thank everyone else for viewing. I am Cole Mantell. This has been the first video podcast. I'll give everyone 30 seconds here, like I usually do. Talk about their team and, hype them up. Where you've done this enough, I'll let you do it one more time.
Oh, Cole, thank you for the opportunity to be on the show and what you bring to the league with content. But it's fun. Big things coming for Alabama. They didn't finish strong like we wanted to, but watch out. We don't have many places to fill, so I think we're a pretty good spot. So appreciate you, Cole.
Thank you. Thank you, David. Cade, Mr. I think I can beat Michigan State 3 times in a row. Go ahead. You got 30 seconds.
We've already done it twice. Year 3 for A&M is going to be a lot better than year 2. In year 2, we went to the national championship. We're just looking to get those next few pieces, and exciting times down in College Station.
All right, that might be the shortest shout out we've had in the history of this show. Good work. Kaki, big shoes to fill. What do you got?
Yeah, big. Thank you for having me on here. I'm glad I was able to make it work. This was a lot of fun. Glad I got to hang out with Ware and Cade and talk it up with you guys too. Some ADs around the league. But yeah, USC, you guys back to back, looking for number 3. We got some key offensive pieces we need, but we're good on the recruiting trail. Back to back, shooting for number 3. Going to use that as our pitch all day. If you want to be a part of a winning culture, winning locker room, USC is the spot.
And in USC tradition, you go overtime again. I think all 3 of the USC guys I've had on have gone overtime.
See, that's why.
Start getting the
that's why I cut mine
stopwatch.
down. That's why I cut mine down, because I got told I was a yapper last time I was on here.
Yeah, no. You did good, though. You did good this time.
Is
Good work,
it okay
Cade.
to mention, Cole, that one of my players is at the hospital right now? Him and his wife are about to have their first child together.
Yes.
Oh,
Why didn't you mention that at the top of the show?
So, well, Brett Slate, he's my linebacker. He's at the hospital right now. Him and his wife about to have their first child together. So, good luck to you, buddy, and your wife. Hope nothing but the best for y'all.
Congratulations to them.
Congrats, that's awesome.
Yeah, why the hell did you lead with that at the top of the show? I don't even know.
No.
Well, I know it's November, guys, so Thanksgiving coming up as well. Well, we will have a show next week. I don't know the plan yet for Thanksgiving week, but also a great offseason so far. I know Mike has talked about getting on the show. We're going to have that episode later this offseason. It's going to be a lot of fun. So thanks again, everybody, for listening in. Thanks, guys, for being on the show. That's all for me, and that's all for this show this week, the 17th edition of the Cole Mantell Show. See you guys next week. And, go Michigan State. I guess I can say that, too. Adios, guys.